Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Welcome to my channel. As you may have guessed, looking at the beautiful background behind me, I am starting my Christmas in July videos. To get us started, I've put together a compilation of my favorite Christmas ornament crafts from last year. This will hopefully get us inspired to get crafting. I love Christmas and I have a year-round Christmas corner in my store, so this is a very fun time for me, and Christmas will be here before we know it, so this is a great way to get started so that you are ready for when the festive season comes. I hope that you enjoy today's video. Today we're going to be creating a Christmas Belle garland. We're going to be using IOD's Cameo, Holly Lane, Blitz, Jingle and Harper Decor Moulds. We're also using Jovi air dry clay. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all your crafting needs on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. I found these lovely but dated Christmas decorations at the thrift store and knew that I wanted to do something with the lovely bells. My first step is to take them apart and remove all the excess pieces that I don't want to use. I will save them for later. I had to use my pliers to cut some of these sections apart, but I was very careful not to damage anything else. So you can hopefully see that these are lovely plain little bells ready for our makeover. After giving them a bit of a clean, my first step was to work out what molds I wanted to use. I'm starting with the Blitz mold. I've dusted it with cornstarch and I'm just going to use a couple of these smaller snowflakes. I'm carefully pressing my Jovi air dry clay into the molds, working them in there and using the micro rim to help me get a clean edge. These little snowflakes are really detailed and they can be a little bit tricky to get out, so I definitely recommend using that cornstarch. Alternatively, you could also use resin for this part. Now, initially I was going to use my hot glue gun to attach my snowflakes, but I was a little bit worried about burning myself, so I did decide to use some wood glue to attach them. You could also use super glue for this step. For our next bell, I'm going to be casting a couple of pieces of holly from the Holly Lane mold. I'm just repeating the same steps, dusting the mold with cornstarch and working my clay into the design. I'm then using that glue to attach it to my bell. I'm going to have one larger holly design in the center and two smaller leaves either side. Next, I'm going to be using the Jingle mold. I'm going to add some cornstarch just to the head section of this deer. We're just using the head for this part. We don't have much room to work with on the bell, but this fit perfectly. So I'll add a little bit of wood glue and carefully press my deer against the bell. I'm also using a wet wipe to wipe up any excess glue. Next, I'm going to cast the two little birds from the Cameo mold. We're just going to add these two little elements. It's a simple look, but I think they look very sweet. Next, I'm going to be using the Harper Decor mold to spell out the letters J-O-Y for the word joy. I just wanted something simple for this bell, and the word joy is perfect for Christmas. I'm going to use my Jingle mold again to cast the sweet little bow from that design for the next bell. Once my castings have had some time to set, I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Sawmill gravy over the entire bell. I'm going to be very gentle here because our castings are still fresh. I'm stippling the paint on here because I want to achieve a little bit of a textured finish. These bells are made from plastic, and often I will use Dixie Belle's Slick Stick or a spray sealer to prime my surface, but I'm using a chalk paint today, so I'm not worried about adhesion. If you don't have access to chalk paint, you could use a spray paint instead. I went with a bit more of a neutral look for this project, but you could definitely be a bit more festive and use red or green chalk paint instead. It really is up to you and what you're trying to achieve. I will be giving each bell 2 coats of the Sawmill gravy on the outside and the inside. While I'm painting the inside of the bells, I'm being careful not to have too much paint on my brush. I don't want there to be a buildup of paint up the top where we're going to be attaching some twine to hang the bells, so I'm being careful not to cause any obstruction. I wanted my bells to have a bit of an aged appearance, so I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Iron Patina paint. I'm stirring the patina paint really well, and then I'm using an artist brush to dab on the patina paint in certain areas around the top, around the bottom ring of the bell, and in other areas where I want that age to appear. When you're using patina paint, you need to do one coat, let it dry, and then on your second coat, while it's still wet, you'll use the green activation spray. This is what causes that rust look. So this is definitely something that you want to time well, because the spray will not activate unless the patina paint that you've put down is still wet. Now I am dabbing and stippling on my paint because I want to achieve texture here. I'm just being careful here, making sure that I'm selecting the spots with the patina carefully. I don't want it over the whole thing. I've poured out some of my green activation spray into a container, and now I'm adding another coat of the iron patina paint, and while that's still wet, I'm coming in with a separate brush with that green activation spray and dabbing it over the top of my wet product. This is going to create that rust look. You'll want to take your time with this. I'm working on one bell at a time so that my paint is still wet when the activation spray goes on there. The activation spray does come in a bottle, but pouring it out gives you a lot more control, because I don't want that iron patina paint and the rust to go over the entire bell. I just want to be able to pick the sections that it will go on. Iron patina paint is definitely my favorite to use. It's going to give us that classic rust look. I've given my bells several hours to activate, and I've come back to some lovely rusty goodness. Now I'm using a wet wipe to wipe off any excess strips. Just as a side note, if you're using this product on actual metal, it's a good idea to use Dixie Belle's Prime Start primer underneath first so that this product does not actually rust your metal. I'm now going to use some more of Dixie Belle's Sawmill Gravy. I'm just dabbing and stippling it on in certain places where I want to tone down that rust a little bit more. I'm brushing it on sparingly. I don't have much on my brush at all. If you liked how it looked at this stage, you could definitely leave this step out. Over time, this rust will change just like normal rust would if you want to stop that. However, you could seal it with patina guard or a clear coat, and that will stop it from further developing. But honestly, a lot of the fun in this is seeing those natural changes over time, and they will be very subtle, probably unnoticeable in some cases. Finally, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I love gold gilding wax, so I'm going to add that to some of the details of the castings around the top and around the bottom. This is just going to be a fun pop of shine, which a lot of us love on our Christmas decorations. I'm also going to add a little bit of gold to the inside of the bells. I'm just using it really sparingly here. I'm not using too much. I just want it to be a little bit of a hint of that gold. I'm going to be using this lovely Hessian ribbon that I got from Costco, but first I'm going to use this lovely green and white twine. I'm going to be attaching the green and white twine to each of the bells, and I also want to attach this little bit of greenery, but to make sure that the twine fits properly, I'm going to add that first, and then we'll look at adding the greenery. I'm going to use some hot glue to attach the pine stems. I'm just going to attach one to each of the bells. I think it's just a nice little pop of green. And if this isn't to your taste, you could leave this out, or maybe you could attach some berries instead. Next, I'm going to start attaching my bells. So I'm going to be tying each bell to the ribbon. I'm not going to be super careful with this. I'm not going to measure it out. I'm just going to do it by eye. I'm going to attach them with a double knot, and then I will trim off the excess twine. These little bells could definitely work as separate Christmas tree ornaments, but I wanted to create a garland that could go on a mantle or even in a Christmas tree itself. But just remember, if you're going to try this project, that is definitely something that you can do instead. I did think about tying bows at the top of each of the bells with the twine, but I decided that just cutting off the excess looked a little bit tidier. And here are our finished bells. I have them sitting on a table and all lined up so that you can have a really good look at them. And then I put them in a lovely flocked tree, and I feel like they go so beautifully in a tree. They would go so beautifully on a mantle. Let me know what you think of these in the comments. This was such a fun project. I hope it's encouraging you to give this a try. Let me know, do you have a favorite design out of the bells? If you enjoyed today's project, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button, comment, and share it out to a friend that you think might enjoy it. You can see here that I have put it along a mantle, and I feel like it really works really well as a mantle decoration. I definitely should have hung some nails to give it a bit more support, but you get the idea. I've been having so much fun with all of the IOD molds, and I hope that you will go and check out my Christmas playlist. I have a lot of ideas for the festive season. If you haven't already, I would also really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. Today we're going to be making some French country ornaments. We're going to be using IOD's Birdsong, Laurel, Lock and Key, and Fleur de Lis molds. I'm also going to be using Jovi air dry clay. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all your crafting needs on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Let's get started. I got these clear ornaments on sale from a craft store last year, and we are using them today. First of all, I'm going to cast the smallest bird from the Birdsong mold. I'm using cornstarch in my molds, and I'm pressing the clay in and using the micro rim to get a great edge. I'm gluing it on with a strong wood glue. I'm then going to be taking an element from the Lock and Key mold and also gluing that on with the wood glue. So each time I'm repeating those steps, and I'm also grabbing the crown from the Laurel mold, just the smaller one this time, as the larger one wouldn't fit. And then I'm also going to grab the smaller bee from the Laurel mold as well. Next, I'm casting the smaller Fleur de Lis design from the Fleur de Lis mold. I decided to take another element from the Lock and Key mold and add it to one of my ornaments. Once the castings have had a little bit of time to set, I'm using Dixie Belle's drop cloth chalk mineral paint and a synthetic brush to dab and stipple on my paint. I am adding my paint in this way as it helps to get into the details of the molds, but it also gives a nice eggshell finish. Now, you might be able to see in the corner there, I'm actually using a mug tree to hang my ornaments off so that they can dry without touching anything. It's a very, very handy thing to have. I did use it in one of my other ornament videos, and I'll show you a better view of it shortly. So keep in mind that if you want to make your own ornaments this year, that you don't have to use the same molds that I did. This is just an example of how you can use non-Christmas molds to create Christmas ornaments. So here's a better look at the cup stand or mug tree, whatever you want to call it. I got this for free actually, and decided that it was the perfect option for when I'm doing ornaments. So keep that in mind if you're going to give it a try. Next, I'm trying something that I've never done before. I'm using some foil flakes or gold leafing, and I'm going to add them to my ornaments. So first of all, I'm using Dixie Belle's gloss clear coat, and then I'm using a small artist brush to press down the gold leaf, and wherever it's not sticking very well, I'm adding a bit more of the gloss clear coat. And as you can see, it's very flaky, and sometimes there was a few layers and I had to sort of separate them as best I could. So I'm just placing it randomly on the ornament and into the details on the molds, and I'm pressing down on the molds to make sure that the details are still going to be visible underneath the gold flakes. So this was a little bit fiddly, definitely a learning experience, but it's definitely all going to come together. So just bear with me. So I've sped up the footage here. It is a bit time consuming. You can see that I'm just repeating the steps. I'm doing a coat of the gloss clear coat, and then I am adding the gold flakes, and I'm just working my way around the ornaments and adding them randomly. If you're going to give this a try, remember you can add as much or as little of the gold flakes as you like. I'm doing quite a little bit because we are going to be coming in and layering some paint over the top of it. So again, this is going to be to your liking. To start off with, you could see that I just had the gold flakes on my little cardboard mat there, but that got quite messy. So I found that putting it in a little plastic container really helped to sort of contain all of those little flakes, because I did find that the slightest little bit of wind just sent it flying. Once my gold was all stuck down and my gloss clear coat was dry, I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's drop cloth again. I've just got a little bit of paint on my brush, and I am dabbing and stippling it on over the top of the gold. I'm just trying to have it look like it has sort of worn away and it's all aged and there's just the gold peeking through. I want it to be quite a subtle effect. Again, if you're going to try this yourself, it really is up to you how much of that gold that you hide with the paint. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of paint on the silver attachments up the top of the ornaments. Once my paint has had time to dry, I am sealing each of the ornaments with gloss clear coat. To add to the old world effect, we're going to use Dixie Belle's Grunge Glaze all over our ornaments. I'm working it into the details of the castings that I've added, and then I'm using a paper towel and a wet wipe to wipe it back in other areas. I don't want it to be too heavy, but I do want it again to give that aged appearance. And remember that it may look blue, but it does dry a nice light sort of a brown color. So I'm working it into the details of each of the molds, and it's really going to highlight and give it that beautiful old world look. So remember, we did add that gloss clear coat first, and that's going to give me the freedom to wipe back the glaze where I like and to have a lot more control over how dark the ornaments get. If the aged look isn't for you, you can just leave out this step. Next, I'm going to add some Hessian ribbon to my ornaments so that we can hang them from the tree. I had this lovely thicker Hessian ribbon that I got from Costco, but it was a bit too thick. So I've cut it to the length that I want, and then I'm cutting it down the center. So we've actually got two ties there. I've folded it in half so that it will fit through the little ring there, and then I'm going to knot it at the top. And then I decided that it was a little bit tidier to trim off the excess up the top. Now you don't have to use the same as me. I think that some lovely ribbon or some lace would look lovely too. It really is up to you what you decide to add. And here are our finished French country ornaments. I'm very happy with how these turned out. I've never used gold leafing before and it was a lot of fun to do. Let me know what you think of this project in the comments. If you like it, I would love it if you could hit that like button. If you liked today's video, make sure you head over and check out my IOD Christmas playlist. I have lots of festive craft ideas for you to try out. And if you're not already, I would love it if you could hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. Today we're going to create some Christmas baubles using IOD's Bauble mold. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all your crafting needs on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Let's get started. The bauble design of the mold is symmetrical, so we are able to create some double-sided decorations here. So I'm using amazing casting resin and I'm pouring them into the molds. Now, I've already pre-cast each of these baubles. So what I'm doing now is pouring some more for the other side of my decoration, and I'm putting in some white string that we're going to be able to hang our baubles from on the tree. And then I'm taking the matching design and I'm pressing it over the top of the wet resin and very carefully pressing down so that the wet resin makes contact with the already set bauble. This is going to allow the two pieces to fuse together and it will give a seamless look. I'm only doing about 2 or 3 baubles at a time because amazing casting resin sets pretty quickly and I don't want my resin to go hard before I'm ready. So you can see here that I ran out of resin and I only did part of the mold. Don't panic, let it set, and later you'll see I'm able to come back in with more resin and it's like I didn't run out at all. So first of all, I'm doing the top bauble up the top and then I am draping the string for the other bauble that you see there after I've got the already set decoration. If I had have tried to have done it the other way around, I might have got the string caught in the design above it. Amazing casting resin takes about 10 to 15 minutes to set, so I'm very carefully pulling the mold away from my bauble casting there, and as you can see, I now have a beautiful double-sided decoration. The details in these molds are fantastic. They're really, really beautiful designs. If there's any excess resin on my decoration, I can just pull that off or I can use a craft knife. I used string for my baubles so that they'll be able to hang from the tree, but you could also use a hook attachment or you could hot glue something on afterwards. I just chose to do it this way. I didn't forget about that other decoration. Here I am coming in with some more resin. I haven't removed my partial pour that I did before. It's going to look like I didn't even run out before. So I've poured my resin in, I'm going to put the string down, and then I'm going to grab the matching decoration and I'm going to sit it on top. It's very important that you add a little bit of pressure to make sure you've got good contact. I'm going to give all of my ornaments a good base coat of Dixie Belle's Drop Cloth Chalk Mineral Paint, and then I'm going to be actually doing a few different examples of how you could decorate these baubles if you want to give it a go. You can see here to the left that I'm using my same cup holder to hang my baubles from while they're drying. This is a very handy tip, and if you've seen any of my other bauble decoration videos, you will know that this is a wonderful tool to have. For the first two ornaments that we're working on, I'm going to seal them with Dixie Belle's Satin Clear Coat before the next step. I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's Gold Shimmer Glaze. I haven't used this before, but it is a very, very pretty glaze. So I'm brushing it on and I'm making sure that I'm getting it into all of those crevices and indents. I mainly want the glaze to sit in those details to bring out those beautiful curves. Once I've painted both sides, I'm using a paper towel to wipe off the excess off the high points. I'm then going to repeat the process with my second ornament. You guys know I love an antique look, so to finish these off, I'm using Grunge glaze over the entire thing, and I'm allowing it to sit down into some of the details to get a weathered look. And here's our first lot of ornaments. Our next two ornaments are pretty easy. I'm using Dixie Belle's Gold Gilding Wax over all of the details. This ornament reminds me of those beautiful old pressed tin panels, and I love how the gold gilding wax contrasts with the drop cloth. I just think that these are absolutely beautiful. I'm repeating the same process with my next ornament. And what do you think of these ornaments? For the next two decorations, I am using Dixie Belle's Iron Patina paint. You guys know I love a rusty finish, so I'm doing a base coat of the Iron Patina paint. It's going to give that lovely orangey sort of a rust look. This is just the first coat, so it is going to look a little bit translucent to start off with. I'm just adding it to the top of the ornament. I'm then going to let it dry, and then I'm going to be coming back in with another coat of the Iron Patina paint, and you can see I'm just pouring out my green activation spray into a container, and I'm going to have two separate brushes working here. So I've got the Iron Patina paint second coat going on now, and then while that's still wet, shortly I'm going to use a different brush. I'm going to dip it into the green activation spray, and I'm going to put it over the top of the wet patina paint. You could leave the green patina activation spray in the container, but I like to have a bit more control, which is why I use a brush. You can see that when I use the patina paint and the activation spray that I tend to use a dabbing or stippling motion. This is so that I can get texture as well as a bit more of a realistic finish. Here I'm repeating the process on my second ornament. I am placing down my base coat of iron patina paint, and then once that's dry, I will come in again with another coat of the same paint and then use the green activation spray. When you're using the patina paint range, you want to make sure that you don't get any of the green activation spray into your patina paint container itself. You could accidentally activate the whole container, and then that would be a really big waste. The patina will naturally change over time. This will be gradual, but if you like how your patina looks at a specific stage, it is a good idea to seal it with patina guard or a clear coat to halt the changing process. It really is up to you. I personally think it's great that it would subtly change over time. Once I have my activation spray on, I tend to leave my patina paint for at least 24 hours so the product has time to react. The next day, I'm coming in certain areas with some more of Dixie Belle's drop cloth. When the paint's dry, I'm sealing both of the pieces with Dixie Belle's satin clear coat. I'm then adding Dixie Belle's Grunge glaze into the details and wiping it off the high points. And here are our rustic ornaments. Our last ornament is a little bit of an experiment. I am using Dixie Belle's copper patina paint first. I'm actually going to do 2 coats because I found that the white was showing through quite a bit, and then I'm going to repeat that process that we did earlier where I apply another wet coat of patina and use the green activation spray. So I'm adding that third coat of copper patina, and then I'm going to grab my separate brush and I'm going to add some of that green spray. Now, this particular patina paint gives a bit more of a green patina. So I was always thinking that this was going to be a little bit bright, but you will see shortly. So this is what it looks like after 24 hours. You can see it really got very bright green. So I'm coming in with just a little bit more of the copper patina paint to tone it down a little. I know this isn't going to be for everyone, but you don't know until you try. I really hope that you liked today's video and that it inspired you to try the IOD Baubles mold. Let me know what you think of today's projects in the comments. Do you have a favourite? Please hit that like button if you liked today's video and that subscribe button if you'd like to see some more DIYs. Today we are going to be using IOD's new Christmas molds to create some Christmas ornaments. We're using the Jingle mold, the Blitz and the Holly Lane mold. We're using IOD's air dry clay, and you can find a full product list in the description of this video, and you can grab all these products on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Let's get started. First ornament, we're using the Blitz mold. I am dusting my mold with some cornstarch and then using IOD's air dry clay and working it into the mold. You could use resin for this as well, but I am having some fun with the clay today. I actually really like how sometimes the clay gives a bit of cracking. It really sort of suits that vintage sort of look that I'm going for today. So I'm carefully working the snowflakes out of the molds and then setting them to one side. I'm working with some little plastic ornaments that I got from a craft shop last year, and I'm using Gorilla's super glue to attach my molds, and I'm just very carefully pressing them down so that I don't damage the details. For the next ornament, I'm going to be working with the Jingle mould. I'm casting the forward-facing deer first, making sure I dust it well with cornstarch and working my clay in. Now, you want to be very careful when you cast this guy because his little antlers are quite delicate, so it might be a good idea to use resin if you're not very confident with the clay. I've also heard it suggested that if you place your mould in the freezer for about 10 minutes before you take it out, that it makes it a bit easier. I'm also going to cast a little bow to go with the reindeer and a couple of the little jingle bells. For this ornament, I'm going to be using a couple of the holly lane elements. I'm just picking the smaller little holly pieces and casting them in my clay. I'm grabbing the jingle mould again for this fourth ornament, and I'm going to be casting one of each of the bells and also 2 bows. Make sure when you're finished with your air dry clay that you put it in a Ziploc bag. Next, I'm using Dixie Belle's drop cloth and a soft brush to very carefully dab on the paint. Now I'm using a chalk paint, so I'm not worried about adhesion, and I'm just being careful not to damage any of the details on those molds. And once I have my paint on there, I'm actually using a little mug tree to hang my ornaments off. This comes in very, very handy, and I'll show you a closer look in a little bit. I will be doing 2 coats of Dixie Belle's drop cloth on these ornaments, letting it dry in between. Dabbing my paint on instead of brushing it on will give me a nice eggshell finish. So this is the little wooden mug tree that I'm using. It is very, very handy so that nothing touches my ornaments while they're still wet. I'm now spraying on a quick coat of satin clear coat so that when I move on to my next step, I can wipe back any mistakes. For the snowflake ornament, I'm using Dixie Belle's pearlescent glaze. This gives the ornament a really beautiful shimmer and shine, so I'm just dabbing it on and working my way around, being careful not to damage the snowflakes. For the holly ornament, I'm using Dixie Belle's Kudzu and brushing it on the holly leaves with a small artist brush, and then I'm coming in with a damp cloth and wiping back the excess to give it more of a faded look. For the holly berries, I'm using Dixie Belle's Barn Red and brushing it on with an artist brush. I won't be wiping any of this back. I really like the bright pop of red that it adds to the holly. On my reindeer ornament, I'm using Dixie Belle's chocolate chalk mineral paint on the deer, and then I am going to be using a damp cloth again to wipe back the excess. I am then going to be using Dixie Belle's Barn Red again on the little bow. On the small jingle bells, I'm using Dixie Belle's Rebel Yellow chalk paint and brushing it on. This is going to be a great base for the gold that I'm going to add a bit later. On the bell ornament, I'm using the Rebel Yellow again on the larger bells, and I will then use Barn Red on the bows as well. Next, I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Grunge Glaze to age my piece. I'm just carefully brushing it on, and then I am wiping it back in areas where it's too heavy. I really want the glaze to set in some of those recesses. You guys know that I like a bit of a rustic weathered look, so if you don't like that, this is probably the part that you would skip. Going to be adding the grunge glaze to each of the ornaments except for the snowflake ornament, which we have already put pearlescent glaze on. Finally, I'm adding Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax to the reindeer's antlers, to his little face a little bit, to the bow. It's really bringing out a lot of those lovely details. I'm also adding it over the top of those little jingle bells that we painted earlier. And then I am moving on to the holly one, and I'm adding that just lightly on the leaves and the holly. And I'm also adding it to the bells and the bows on that ornament. And finally, I'm also going to be adding a little bit of the gold on the snowflake ornament as well, just really subtly. I'm also adding it to the little silver attachments up the top where the little string goes. I'm going to add some buffalo check ribbon to the top of my ornaments and just tying it in a little bow, and then I'm going to add some twine, which is what the ornament will actually hang from when it's on a tree. Here are the finished ornaments. I'm really happy with this project. I think that these molds are so beautiful. There really is so many things that you can do with them. Let me know what you think of this project in the comments. If you like it, I'd love it if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you'd like to see more projects like this or furniture makeovers. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. Today we're going to be making some farmhouse Christmas ornaments. We're going to use the Village Market mold, the Fleur de Lis mold, the Jingle and Holly Lane molds, the frame mold and the Harper Decor mold. We're also going to be making these with the amazing casting resin. You can find all of these products on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au, and a full product list in the description of this video. Let's get started. We're going to begin by pouring our resin mixture into the Village Market molds and the Fleur de Lis mold. We're also going to be casting a couple of letters and a couple of elements from both the Holly Lane mold and the Jingle mold. After about 10 minutes, my castings are ready to take out of the molds. I want to add a festive touch to our cute little farm animals, so I'm thinking of adding a part of some holly, the letters joy on the pig there, and also a bell and 2 little leaves to the sheep. When I'm happy with my arrangement, I'm using Super Gorilla Glue to glue down my pieces. Also going to pour the rooster from the Fleur de Lis mold. While the rooster is curing, I am adding 2 coats of Dixie Belle's drop cloth to my molds. Now that my rooster is ready, I'm going to take the casting out of the mold and I am going to be putting a little bell and a piece of holly on the rooster. I'm also adding 2 coats of drop cloth to the little rooster. When my chalk paint is dry, I'm sealing with Dixie Belle's Satin Clear Coat. Next, I'm using a little artist brush to apply Dixie Belle's Kudzu chalk mineral paint to the holly leaves. I'm also wiping back some of the paint for some tonal contrast. Next, I'm adding some of Dixie Belle's Barn Red to the holly berries. I'm also adding some Barn Red to the word joy on the pig. When the paint's dry, I'm adding some of Dixie Belle's Grunge glaze to the body of the farm animals. I'm going to use an artist brush to make sure I don't get it on the holly, and then I'm wiping it back in places. This is going to give them a real farmhouse feel. When the glaze is dry, I'm adding Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax with a small artist brush to the bell on the sheep and also on the rooster. And I'm also going to add hints of it on the lettering on the pig and here and there on the bodies of the farm animals. Keep watching to see how these turn out. For the next lot of ornaments, I'm using hot glue to make a barrier around the heads of our animals. I just want the heads for this part. I'm also pouring resin into the frames mold. We're going to use these and then put the farm animals over the top. By adding the glue, I'm going to limit how much resin I'm going to use because I only want a small portion. Once my resin is cured, I'm very carefully trimming off the excess resin off the rooster, and then I'm going to glue it onto the smaller frame. I'm then going to repeat the process for each of the animals, trimming off excess resin and then gluing down with Gorilla Super Glue. When the glue is dry, I'm applying 2 coats of Dixie Belle's Drop Cloth Chalk Mineral Paint to the entire piece. When the drop cloth is dry, I'm using Dixie Belle's Barn Red Chalk Mineral Paint on a little artist brush and painting the frame of the cow. I'm also going to paint the frame of the sheep in red and then the frame of the rooster and the pig using Palmetto Chalk Mineral Paint. These little frames are absolutely adorable. You could also put some lovely festive decoupage paper in the center if you wanted to create a different look ornament. Once all the ornaments are dry, I will seal them with Dixie Belle's Satin Clear Coat. When the clear coat is dry, I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's Grunge Glaze and I'm working it into all of the details, including the frames. I will wipe back most of the excess and the satin clear coat allows me to have a lot more control while doing this. When the glaze is dry, I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax, and I am using my finger to hit just the high places. I just want the hints of the gold, and I also put a little hint of gold on the animals as well. Once my ornaments are dry, I need to attach an attachment for hanging some twine. So I am using what is called a lobster clasp. I am opening it up and I'm going to put a little ring through the clasp so that I can put some twine. And then I'm going to use Gorilla Glue to attach the clasp to the back of each of my ornaments. I will repeat this process for each of the ornaments. I'm using twine on my ornaments because I think that fits with the farmhouse theme, but you could use a lovely festive ribbon or some other sort of wire attachment. It really is up to you and your style. And here are the finished ornaments. I'm so happy with how these turned out. I'm so glad that I could take an everyday mold like the Village Market mold and add a few festive touches from the Christmas release and turn them into really sweet farmhouse ornaments. I think that the first set here are really lovely country pieces and would look beautiful on any style tree. And what do you think of our second set of ornaments? I think that the beautiful frames mold has really made a beautiful difference. Pairing them together with the Village Market mold makes these ornaments a lot more refined. I think they are the sweetest addition to any Christmas tree. Let me know what you think of these ornaments in the comments. Which set is your favorite? Which do you think would suit best for your tree? I would love it if you could hit that like button if you like our projects today. If you're not already subscribed, I would love it if you could hit that subscribe button and the notification bell for more Christmas DIYs and furniture makeovers. If you haven't already, make sure you check out our IOD Christmas release playlist. We have so many ideas for Christmas crafts this season. You can find all of these products on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.